biggest mistakes buyers make. In fact, these mistakes are covered in my lawyer's guide for international clients looking to invest either in real estate or business in South Africa, and I cover 13 of those mistakes, but I can just share a few with your listeners so that they can know what mistakes to avoid. So when you're buying property, there are quite a number of steps that are involved in the process of making sure that you make it a decision that's diligent. And sometimes buyers jump into signing the offer and the contract to purchase property, and they don't look into what the clauses in that contract stipulate, the implications of those clauses, and what they will be expected to do in return. So you need to understand, as much as the seller is saying, here's the property that you love, I want you to have it in exchange for this amount, you also have a responsibility, and the law actually places that on you as the buyer to understand what tax implications are going to arise from this activity that I'm engaging in, and how is this going to affect my estate planning. If you have a child or children, you have a family, you obviously are acquiring assets and you're building your wealth, for your family maybe. So you want to create or build a legacy. So you signing on that offer actually has a direct impact on your legacy building or your legacy creation, and you need to understand what structure is going to be best suitable to help you create that legacy, and what structure to avoid so that you can avoid losing money to the taxman, because buying property is also something that can make you a lot of money, but it can also result in you losing money because you didn't buy in the correct structure. Now I'm going to jump into some of the basic mistakes that buyers make. So they do not read and understand what the clauses say, and they also introduce funds in a way that is contrary to what the South African Reserve Bank and also currency exchange regulations require. So it's very important when you are buying property to make sure you have the information. Once again, I will lead you back to the lawyer's guide for international clients looking to invest in real estate or business in South Africa, because that's where we actually detail and give you some of the checklists, so you can know this is a checklist for when I'm buying, this is what I need to put together, so that you have it in place. Another important thing is that when you are buying property, if you're buying from a developer, there is even if you're buying from a normal person, like an unregistered an unvet vendor seller, you need to know that there are timelines in that contract that you need to comply with. If you're an international client, it might be challenging for you to introduce funds within 7 days, and so what you need to do is prepare for how you're going to introduce the funds. And once again, the packages and the checklist that we have put together will give you that, and if you reach out, you can get all of that information. But you need to basically make sure that before you sign, are you going to be able to comply with the 7 days period within which you need to introduce the funds, so you can be compliant in terms of the contract that you are signing. You also need to understand, if you're not buying from a new developments are the best, because obviously it's new, and you will still get an opportunity to do snags. So you look at the property to see if there are anything that the developer needs to deal with. However, if you're buying property that is already built, it's important to understand that you as a buyer also has the right to get an inspection done, and appointing that inspection company to do the inspection, and to also have a property lawyer regulate the wording in the contract to make sure that we are on the same page about who's going to cover the expenses if there is a latent defect, meaning a defect that's hidden that you cannot see when you are viewing the property, or the person that's viewing for you. So that's the importance of an inspection. Now, there are many other mistakes that are made in the process, but I think those are the most important ones, and that is understanding your offer, understanding tax, understanding estate planning in relation to how it can affect your transaction.